Here we are for another episode of The Wedding Frame. And I got the idea for this one because my husband and I just got back our wedding video from our videographer. He's amazing, Richard from Royal Films. I've worked with him several times and I was blown away by our highlight video. And he's going to give us the rest of the footage in a month or so. Actually, I think he said in a couple weeks. So that made me think about the relationship between videographers, photographers, and now content creators at a wedding. And I just have to say that everyone worked so well together at our wedding. I mean, I knew they would because I had already worked with my photographer. The second shooter was new, but she was fantastic. And everyone stayed out of each other's way. I was a little apprehensive about having a content creator, not just apprehensive about whether they would be in the way or, maybe take the lead when they really shouldn't. Um, I was also just wondering if I even needed one since I had my videographer that, you know, I paid a good amount of money for. And the content creator I kind of added last minute. But actually, shouldn't have even said the word apprehensive because I had already worked with her also, and she was amazing and kept behind the scenes. So it was more like, do I really need this? So yeah, the industry has changed so much over the years. It really just used to be a photographer at a wedding. And then videographers became more common, and now content creators are something more and more couples are adding into their budget. So that means more people, more cameras, more viewpoints, more bodies in the room, and obviously more opportunities for things to go amazingly well or go a little sideways if there's no communication. All right, so let's do some real talk about how we can all work together smoothly on a wedding day without stepping on each other's toes, without stressing out the couple, and without feeling like we're all battling for the same spot in front of the couple. Because guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. So let's get into it. Let's first talk about how this even became a thing. Weddings used to be much simpler from a media perspective. You had one photographer, like I said, and that was it. Maybe a second shooter, but even that wasn't super common. And then videography came into the picture. It was becoming more popular. And it went from like these very documentary home video style setups to really cinematic storytelling. So with that shift, photographers suddenly had someone else next to them trying to capture the same moments, but with a totally different technique. So fast forward to today, and now we have a third category entering the chat: wedding content creators. And they're not replacing photographers or videographers. And I know that's a touchy subject, especially with the videographers, but they're filling a totally different need that couples have now. And that need is immediate coverage, behind the scenes, Instagram reels within 24 hours, iPhone videos of the vows, the little moments between moments. So now, instead of one photographer floating around all day, you have a team, sometimes a big team. And with more people in the space, you naturally get more overlap, like, oops, I'm sorry, am I in your shot? Those kinds of moments and more opportunities for misunderstandings. Which brings me to what each role actually needs to do for them to do their job well. So I want to talk about what each vendor actually needs, because when you understand each other's needs, suddenly everything makes sense and becomes way easier. So photographers need clean compositions. We need lighting to make sense. We need a moment to breathe and quickly direct. We need to position the couple so the photo looks intentional. We need space. We need to be able to take quick bursts. What videographers need is movement. They need longer takes. They need audio. They need to follow the couple without stopping. Their shots are not click, click, click. They're like an entire clip. So if someone walks in front of them, it ruins that whole movement. They also often need a bit more physical space because the camera stabilizer takes room. So content creators need to be close. They're using iPhones, so proximity is huge. They need quick access, quick micro moments, behind the scenes, tiny details. That's what they're getting. And so they jump in and out a lot. Their work is rapid fire and in the moment. And because couples are excited about seeing the same day content, they're more content creators are having more moments of, can I grab them for just 10 seconds? And again, that's not every content creator. That was not mine. So that's another thing. They work differently, just like videographers work differently. I've worked with videographers who do a lot of directing, and that hasn't been the norm. Usually the photographer is the one who does all the directing, and the content creator should really just stand behind all of us and capture what they can. Of course, they need to get close with their iPhones, but they need to not ever get in front of the photographer or videographer. So anyway, when you put all of these three together, you get three different creative mindsets in one space doing three different things with three different needs. So that's why communication is key. So here's some of the common challenges between the teams. So let's talk about the stuff that we all deal with. Photographers and videographers. So this is the classic pairing. The biggest issues are usually things like flash going off in the videographer's shot, the videographer's constant light affecting the photos, both trying to direct at the same time, both needing the same angle. Videographers need longer moments while photographers just need a second. And then now there's the photographers and content creators working together. I think the biggest thing that tends to happen is issues with proximity. Content creators want to naturally hover closer to the couple. So that sometimes means that they drift into your frame without realizing it, or their phone is right next to your lens while you're shooting. They have good intentions, but sometimes it can be a little distracting. Now, videographers and content creators working together, these two tend to bump into each other the most because they both need movement and space. Videographers need audio to stay clean, while content creators might not be paying attention to that. Content creators move quickly, but videographers need longer takes. None of these issues are personal. They're all just a result of everyone trying to do their job in the best way they know how. So it's not a competition. I just want to make this super clear. None of us are competing, and none of us are more important than the other. We are creating different deliverables for different purposes. Photos are forever. Videos tell the story. Content gives the couple instant joy. Couples hired all of us for a reason, and our job is to make them feel supported, not overwhelmed. And you know who determines the energy of the media team? Us, not the couple. So if we show up collaborative, the whole day flows perfectly. So there should be a pre-wedding conversation. So much stress can be avoided if you just do a quick introduction. I can't stress this enough. Send a hello. If you're the photographer, reach out to the videographer. If there's a content creator, reach out to them too. And you can keep it casual, like, hey, excited to work together. Anything specific I can help you with this weekend? Just setting the tone as we're teammates makes the entire day better. You can also clarify a few things like who's going to be directing the portraits. In my case, I would tell the videographer and the content creator, I am going to be directing the portraits. That is how I prefer to do things. And then I always give the videographer, especially, a chance to do anything that I didn't think of. Because I photograph in a documentary style, I hardly have videographers asking for more time for certain poses because I already want that interaction and movement. Okay, so back to the things you can clarify. What kind of cameras are the videographers using so that you kind of know what their style is with where they are standing in regards to the couple, if they use prime lenses or zooms, also how many cameras they have for the ceremony and where they usually like to place them. So that's also a conversation that you can have on the day of the wedding, a quick conversation before the ceremony. Yeah. So then that leads me to the communication of the day of. So, like I said, a 2-minute check in would be amazing. Just something like, hey, everyone, I'm going to take the lead for the portraits, but please jump in whenever you need to. If you need something specific, just tell me. Let's all rotate around each other. Done. Easy. Little communication moments like that make such a huge difference. So now during the ceremony, this is where a lot of conflict happens if no one talks beforehand. And so here's what usually works best. Spread out in a triangle formation. No one stands directly behind the officiant. Videographers place their tripods early. Photographers stay mobile. Content creators stay subtle. Everyone knows when the kiss is going to happen. And a little tip, you should know when the kiss is about to happen because you should have taken the time to talk to the officiant to remind him that he's going to step to the side for the first kiss, and also to look at his timeline so that you know what's happening right before the first kiss. If you guys listen to the first episode ever of this podcast, you know that I missed the first kiss because I was a solo photographer and I was looking down at my settings and I obviously didn't think to talk to the officiant. So that's very important to do. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but I had to reiterate that. So it's really important that you also have a quick talk about where you will all be standing during the first kiss. When it's a big team, hopefully we can all squeeze together and be standing together. I've had second shooters who also shoot the first kiss from a side angle, not the middle aisle. And I actually don't mind that at all. It's kind of a new perspective of the first kiss that you don't see a lot. I think it's also really important during the ceremony that we all be unobtrusive. That is so important to me. And I really appreciated that my 2 photographers, 2 videographers, and my content creator at my wedding were just that. I did not notice them. I was just very focused on my husband and our vows. And I was so appreciative for that. That's how it should be. Now, when it comes time to portraits, that can either be a little chaotic or incredibly smooth, again, depending on teamwork. The photographer always leads because portraits are traditionally photo driven, but when videographers and content creators are part of it, a good rhythm looks something like this. The photographer directs a moment, the videographer gets movement in between, the content creator gets a quick clip, and then reset and repeat. It's fast, respectful, and efficient, and the couple doesn't feel tugged in 3 different directions. Now, moving on to the reception, dance floor time, this is where everyone should be aware of each other. Photographers with their flashes, videographers with constant lights, and content creators weaving through the guests. All good as long as no one camps out in front of the other or blocks their view. So it's all about rotating around each other, reading each other's body language, and knowing that we're all trying to capture the same energy. So here are some best practices for working together. So these are the habits that make everything smoother. Be friendly, be adaptable, share your time, ask before taking prime positions, let each other finish a moment, don't over-direct, move with intention, and remember that the couple hired all of you. When everyone works together, the footage and photos are better. The couple is more relaxed. The entire day feels seamless. Collaboration is honestly one of the biggest green flags in our industry. I truly believe in community over competition. And I feel like most of my friends in this wedding industry have that same thinking. And it makes you, as the couple's chosen photographer or videographer or content creator, it makes you more memorable. And you come out being as professional as you should be. And it makes you someone that people actually want to work with again. So that is today's episode. I hope this helps you feel more confident working with videographers and content creators on a wedding day. It really doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be competitive. It really can be a team effort if the communication is there. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share it with a wedding photographer friend. And I will see you all in the next episode.